What's up, y'all? It's just Rhonda. Welcome to my channel. It's Tuesday. You know what we do on Tuesday? It's time for this reality recap. We're going to recap Bell Collective, and we're going to recap the Real Housewives of Atlanta. They were back this week, so y'all like the video, subscribe to the channel. We might as well go ahead and get into the business. This was a decent episode, I think. Is this the... Yeah. This was a decent episode. You know, it was a little yang with these bells. I feel like they're coming to the end of the season, so they're trying to wrap this thing up. This episode, we pick up where we left off with Carrie sitting at this restaurant crashing out about, her $100 million restaurant that she's, having to sell. And, while she's in the middle of her meltdown, her mother-in-law shows up. Carrie knew this lady was coming. This was the reason why we were here. I don't want to have another sit down. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about this because I'm not sure it's real. At least I hope not. I hope that Carrie's relationship with her mother-in-law, because the way they talk to each other is disgusting. Both of them are very bad. Mama-in-law arrived. She said, with God. She said God came with her. Carrie has a problem with how Matt's mother managed this land. Apparently, Carrie's mama was divorced from his father. The land came from his father's side of the family. Carrie keeps on, pressing that issue that it ain't even hers. She was divorced. Carrie, fall back. Because if she was married to this man, then it is what it is. We don't know, how he decided to, clearly he left the land to her. So, I don't know what the argument is about. Hey, Elsie, she's stopping by to hit the like. I appreciate that, Elsie. And while she's hitting the like, y'all hit the like too. You know what I'm saying? It's the thing to do. I feel like Carrie is overstepping, just like Matt said she was. She done pulled out a poster board. She's writing how the land should be divided. And I'm like, Carrie, one minute you say you don't want to be involved. You don't want to hear about it. You don't have nothing good to say about this land. It's 2 hours away from where you live. It's out in the middle of nowhere. Ain't nothing over there. It's worthless. And you and your family got your own land. You don't have to worry about his. So back up. I feel like Carrie, I don't understand. I like Carrie. At least up until now I don't dislike her, but I'm questioning the way she's moving. She's getting on my nerves. She said Marlene need to pick up her titties and go find her a man. What? She talking about she still look good. What are you talking about? I don't even feel like this lady spends that much time, around. I don't think she's around like that. So, I mean, if y'all brought her over here for entertainment, she's entertaining, but her mama sat up there and called Carrie a clown. And I'm like, Matt, you need to check your mama. You cannot let your mother call your wife a clown. You cannot let your wife call your mama a street sweeper. Both of them are out of control. And they, sitting up here talking about they too much alike, I guess. But I think this is all a little bit extra for TV. Like I said, at least I hope so. And Matt says she overstepping. And he said him and his family, gonna figure it out. And that's the way that should be. I don't think Carrie needs to have anything. I I don't think she needs to have any involvement in it. She needs to sit there and let them handle it. And, then when Matt comes back and tells her what's going on, then that's what it's going to be. If the mama needs help with the taxes and y'all got it, I mean, Carrie, what? What? I'm just saying, like, he has other siblings. Again, that's for them to figure out. But yeah, I don't really like how Carrie was moving. And then she down talking her mother-in-law to the streets. That's not what you do. Like I said, one minute she wants to be out, the next minute she wants to be included, and she got all in her feelings because it seems as though Matt and his mother have had conversation without her, and it's hard to have conversation with her because she won't shut up. So I can see why they would do that. She got her feelings and stormed out. So, that was the end of the lunch. So this is like, what, the third or fourth time that we've done this, and we come to the same resolve every single time. Every single time is Carrie and his mama saying mean, nasty things to each other. And then, somebody storms out, or, nothing, like I said, is resolved. So, Matt, I blame you, because you should have kept them separate in the first damn place. The Bells meet at Taste, because that's the only spot in town for them to meet at. Why are y'all always meeting at Taste? Like, I get it, but y'all just have every event at Taste. So they're having a get together, I guess, just so what's her name? Latrice could announce that they're having a cash trip. So Marie comes in and she sits down and she starts explaining to them that she's having a grand opening at her new location. And they're like, oh, Marie got 9 locations. They're all very proud of Marie. We saw the space where Selena went to go over there and visit. And apparently that location is done. So, her and Essie are doing the thing. And she has another location. And we learned about this last episode. She was over there at her property with her kids, and she wants them to take over, and her son wants to make the business into a dispensary or what have you. But she has another location. She said the landlord where she was wants $20,000 a month, and she's like, I'm not doing that. I could take $100,000 invested in my own property and just move it over there. So the ladies are acting so confused. I'm not understanding why they're so confused. She's got one business that's brand new, that's, the grand opening is happening. She has another business that they are relocating to her property. So, she gonna get the property together. She's already got people working on it. So we don't know what stage it is, but she has 9 locations. I'm sure things will be figured out. I don't blame her. Going up $20,000 a month, he's bugging. I think sometimes he's probably not melanated. I think sometimes when landlords see you being successful, they feel like they want to get a part, of the money. So they're looking at it like, she's doing well over here. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure they know she's on the TV. I mean, on this reality show. And so, yeah, that I'm sure they're thinking, yeah, she's doing good. So we're going to go ahead and up her rent so we can make profit off of whatever she's got going on over there. So I'm glad Marie Monroe is a doctor. She's not stupid. So and I like to see it. I like this Marie Monroe. I don't care whether she have a man or don't have a man, but she got business, and that's what this Bells is supposed to be about, these business women. Yeah, they sitting up there acting confused. I was like, I don't understand. What's the confusion? She was pretty clear, what's going on over there. They asked Carrie, how it's going with the Brick and Spoon. And she said, she's telling them about the struggle. She had somebody come over there, a couple of buyers, but, it fell through. And, then she went into her frustration with her mother-in-law. And they don't like the way she talks about her mother-in-law. I don't like it either, but hey, it ain't my mother-in-law. I feel like married people, often have frustrations with their in-laws, but the way she's carrying on publicly, it makes, it's not a good look for her. And we haven't seen any real thing, you know what I'm saying? Aside from her mother-in-law being spicy, but if you've been with Matt since high school, then this lady is spicy. So there's no reason, for her to, I don't know, be talking shit on the lady like she does. But this is her storyline, so we gonna run with it. Marie was like, how's your marriage? Marie, back up. Nobody got to tell you what's going on in their marriage. And Carrie was like, it's fine. Oh, you're saying your marriage is perfect? She didn't say that. She said it's fine. She said we go through ups and downs just like everybody else do. And Marie's like, see what I'm talking about? She just be flipping and flopping. That's not what that was. None of your business was going on, in her marriage. I think at this point in time, it just seems like regular marriage stuff, especially when it comes to finances and business. Now that could turn into an ugly thing, but right now I just think Carrie and Matt is doing what Carrie and Matt have always done. Um, yeah, Marie, she's not flip flopping in this moment. Latrice lets the ladies know, there's a trip to Atlanta, child. They're going from Jackson on around the corner over to Atlanta. We know they don't have budgets like the Housewives is over in Scotland, so we know they don't have budgets like that. But Atlanta, really, I guess. Um, Glenn takes his son to the barbershop. So I guess Glenn is back at work on the boat. He said he ain't at home like he used to be. I didn't know that was a thing. See, her and Glenn be telling, Tisha and Glenn be telling stories so much. First, he was home more often. Remember, she was over there getting her soft girl era. He was giving her, was he giving her? No, she was in her soft girl era giving him a massage over at wherever that was that she rented that massage table. And she was like, he's home more often. Now I guess he's not home more often anymore. Based on the conversation that he had with his son, he's not home because it's like, he's like, how's school? What's your favorite class? Like, these are not questions that you ask somebody that lives in your house. You know what I'm saying? These are conversations that you have regular. That boy said his favorite class is PE, and he pleaded the fifth. He doesn't really care for school that much. How are your little friends? I'm like, do you know this boy, Glenn? He talking about, I want to show him, how to be a man. Well, find one, because based on the way you behave, that ain't how men do. Not a real man. So, we're gonna sell this image of Glenn as a great father. I suppose his son is very yes sir, no sir. I'm gonna go ahead and give Leticia credit for that. And he got her face, child. She spit him out. Marie and Essie have a grand opening, and Tambra and Leticia are there to support her. That was nice, Tambra stepping a little bit out of her comfort zone, and she came over here in the lion's den with these two big cats. And be careful, Tambra, because they can't be trusted. They were sitting around, at her event. They had a little, hors d'oeuvres and things, and they had a little conversation about the Atlanta trip. And they asked Tambra, "Is Damon coming?" No, Damon's not coming. We know Damon's not coming. And yeah, Tambra said she, one of them got to stay there with the baby, and then her father's sick, and her mother's taking care of her father. Honestly, that makes sense. Like in real life, when you got all of that going on, and they ain't like, listen, I don't know what them people are doing over there, but I don't feel like they really want to date. I don't blame Tambra. I wouldn't bring him on no vacation with them either. They're not to be trusted. Damon is not coming. So Leticia and Glenn meet up at Glenn's lawyer's office. And I feel like, again, we're coming to the end of the season, and Glenn and Leticia have to wrap up this storyline about, post nupts and divorces and things. They like to wrap things up where they're in a good place, because that's how they like to show up at the reunion, in a good place. He doesn't have to do any concerts. He doesn't have to make no rap records. He doesn't have to, make any vow renewals by surprise. This time, all he has to do is sign that prenup. And, Tisha said, this is her thing. This is what she wants. This is, what she was telling the financial or the lawyer, his attorney. She said that she wants to make sure that money that she makes under her brand stays her money. Now, she still want to pay, 50-50 and all of that. It's not that, but she wants to make sure that the money that's acquired under her brand, which I'm assuming will be all except for what's at the bail bondsman's office, But any of her money that's created, received under her brand, she wants to have control of that. Glenn said he don't want her money. So he don't have no problem signing no prenup. And I'm like, he has stomped around for the entire season talking about he ain't signing no prenup and you acting different and you trying to move it on up like the Jeffersons and you trying to get rid of me. And, that's been his stance this whole time. But now, I don't know. He went to sleep last night. He thought about it real hard. It's the end of the season. They need to be in a good place. So he said, yeah, he's fine. He doesn't, mind signing the prenup. He just wants her to have her unbroken heart back again, the one that happened before he did all the things, nasty cheating and things that he did. So, I guess she said that's what she wants, child. She want to have her old unbroken heart back too. So, looks like we're headed straight into a good place. So, this was a good thing. The lady told them they need to go get therapy. You get therapy, he get therapy, y'all get therapy. And then you speak to lawyers and y'all talk about things and then you come back over here, we'll figure it out. Well, if we do all that, lawyer, lady, if we do all that, why do we need to come back over here to you? Seems like, you sent them off to spend their money somewhere else. But, that's just an observation. Glenn said he thinks the past should be the past. That's just BS from the past. Y'all know I'm going to yarn once I sit in front of this light. Glenn, Mandy was just last season. So how far, people show like to want to rush you to forgive them when they do shit to you. Mandy was last season. You was all up in her DMs. So that BS is pretty fresh. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's fine because she been knew about Mandy. And, that's how they came to resolution. I think there will be no signing of any prenup. I'll be very surprised if they sign the prenup, like he said, like they planned to do. On the way to Atlanta, they got two sprinters. They got, the managers, the Pearsons and the Rogers, and one sprinter. They got all the bells in another sprinter, and Matt said he driving his car because he don't know when he might need to, break wide on these niggas. And so he's going to bring his own ride. And I feel like he's a smart man. That's what you should do because, they got some shenanigans planned over here. And, him and Carrie probably talked about it. Like, just in case they try to pull a quick one, we need to drive our own car. So I'm not mad at that. He wasn't flying to Atlanta. We need an escape plan. Anyway, Carrie in the sprinter going in on her mother-in-law again. They don't want to hear that. They tired of hearing about that. Marie wants to talk about her business. She's like, yeah, we had the grand opening. Thank you, Tambra, for showing up like you always do. I don't know if that was supposed to be sarcasm or not, but I feel like Tambra does show up to most people's things. I think Tambra is usually supportive to people's events. So if she don't show up, do anything else, she does show up. And, so she wasn't wrong about that. Then she was like, y'all were grilling me. And I'm like, I don't think they were grilling you, Marie. That's not what I got from it. I think they were confused. And apparently wherever her business was, where they raised the rent, where her lease was up, the people put a sign out. So people assumed that her business was closing and that, not that she was relocating. So that's information that you put on the website. But, it only take one person to drive by and see the sign. And then they want to start rumors about, you seen Marie's place closed down. So that's probably where that energy was coming from. Because I was like, no, I don't think they were talking about you. Then here go Carrie. Is it an LLC? Is it all under one umbrella? Carrie, back up. Marie don't even like you like that, for you to be asking questions. But I think Carrie just nosy. She just be in the business and you have to back her up. I think in dealing with Carrie, you have to literally say, girl, stop. You're doing too much. You asking questions and I don't even like you like that. And she already knows that. So I hate it when people do that. I hate it when they try to, bum rush you with questions and you be like, hold on. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to pressure me to tell you anything. I think somebody with 9 locations, child, She's not asking you for any business savvy. Her business is not closing, it's relocating. So you worry about that brick and that spoon that's, about to go under, child. So they get to this house, and this is one tacky house. I don't know where they found this house at. I feel like in Atlanta, there had to be so many better options. The decor was horrible with some funky comforter. Sorry, my baby's, wants her voice to be heard. The comforter on the sofa, it was stairs and stairs. I just put pictures of these bedrooms, and they came in there, and Latrice decided she was going to delegate who gets whatever room. They all look the same, the rooms, except she put Carrie and Matt in a room with a pull-out sofa and a TV. And ain't no way in the world I would stay there. That house was not bad and bougie. It was more like tired and tacky, if you ask me. But nobody asked me. Latrice knows better, and I wouldn't stay in that room. So obviously, that's pretty much where that ended. Her and Glenn walking around the house, laughing and giggling about how Matt and Carrie were going to stay in that room with that sofa bed, and it looked dingy. Everything looked dingy. I wouldn't want to lay on none of those covers. Ugh. This don't even look like Atlanta. Are y'all ever in Atlanta for real, or are y'all still in Jackson and you're pretending like you went somewhere? Because Atlanta is a city that I know y'all could have found a very dope Airbnb. The decor was horrible. So, and they walking in there, ooh, this is nice. No, it's not. No, it's not. None of it was nice. The cabinets was ugly. The furniture. I wouldn't want to lay on that, sit on any of that furniture. And yeah, y'all gonna put Matt and Carrie on that raggedy ass sofa. And you saying, Latrice said, when we went to the coast, what's her name? Carrie put them in a room with bunk beds. And she did do that. But I think that had more to do with, first of all, the house was nice. I wouldn't want to be in no bunk beds either. So if you're giving me bunk beds, chances are I'm probably still going to leave. Twin bed, bunk beds, whatever. If I'm leaving my home, I'm going to stay somewhere where I'm comfortable. So this is not the same, though. You went from bunk beds to this stanky, dusty, rusty, musty pull-out sofa. I wouldn't stay there. And based on the previews for next week, that's not going to go. They're not having it. So you see Matt looking for somewhere to stay, and Leticia asking him not to leave. So that was that over there on the Bell Collective. Now the Atlanta child, they had a whole nother situation going on. One that I definitely did not expect it to go this way. So we still in Scotland. These ladies are still in Scotland. They get up in the morning. They're having breakfast. They're having discussions, just as the morning, just sitting at the breakfast table chit-chatting. And apparently Phaedra discovered that she could not download porn or watch porn over there in Scotland. What? Why is she nasty like that? And so they're like, oh no, you can't porn. Since 2025, you can't access porn. And I'm like, I'm on a trip with a bunch of chicks. You know what I'm saying? And I need porn. Y'all be like, bring your dildo, bring your porn. Okay. So after breakfast, they had some activities. What were they calling it? Highland Games. The Highland Games. They were going to practice some of these things that they do over here. I personally wouldn't want to do this either, but I'm not a party pooper, so I would have participated. But it's Scotland. It's not somewhere I necessarily would want to visit. Like, I have lots of places that I would like to see. Scotland ain't one of them. I'd be weary of places where I'm not sure about how I'm going to enjoy the food. But food is a big part of your vacation. So I don't know about that. Anyway, they were over here tossing logs, and they were doing hammer tosses, and they were doing tug of war. Everybody except K. Michelle. K. Michelle can't participate in anything because of her ass. And she's sitting up there talking about how, sexy she's, sleep with. she's gay on holidays and this man and that man and my husband and this thing. All she does is go to doctor's appointments and she can't participate in anything. It's a sad life. I mean, for real, I think it's very sad to me that K Michelle's living her life like she's 80. You know what I'm saying? Where somebody got to help her get around, and she can't participate in things. And anyway, not that she missed out on anything playing tug of war. I'm just saying she couldn't go in the pool. She can't do nothing. So they get back to the castle after their, activities, after their Highland games. And Phaedra and her staff presents them with some hot toddies and some haggises, which is sheep organs. And I'm not eating that. It don't even sound like nothing I want to eat. Haggis sounds like something I don't want to eat. The name is not appealing. I'm good on that. And yeah, I'm not jumping straight into sheep organs, and I'm not a picky eater, but that's not something I'm good. I'm good on that. We already got explosive diarrhea parasite running around. I'm not finna eat no sheep organs, brains, and intestines and stuff, and then have to fly back home with whatever it is you catch from eating haggises. But I don't know who did it. Portia did it. I think Portia tried it, but Portia has had various things in her mouth. She's been over there before. So they're sitting at the table, and Portia and Kelly start talking about, the night before and how they were so glad that they mended fences with one another. They had that moment where I don't want to be mad at you anymore. They made up, and, Portia's like, yeah, I'm glad we're in this great place. And if you need me, I don't want you to be afraid to call me or ask me for things. And, there was a whole performance put on for Shamia's benefit, I feel like, because Portia's over here trying to make sure she digs it in real deep and lets Shamia know, me and Kelly are cool. We can be friends again. And Shamia's sitting there with a sourpuss face because she wants to know how Portia can forgive everyone except me. Portia can forget everyone except me. I want Shamia to not give a shit what Portia thinks or does. You know what I'm saying? It would be real cool if Shamia didn't feel a way based on anything that Portia says. But instead of not giving a shit, like if Kelly is your friend, then you're good. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry about that. Her not fighting with Portia that just means she ain't fighting with Portia over here on this show. And we would prefer not. We tired of her talking about the married man and all of that nonsense. But anyway, Shamia's in her feelings, so she calls her mother crying, which Shamia's just been crying lately. She just, they don't like me. They don't want me in the friend group, and they don't. Like, based on the way they're moving, they don't. They are literally trying to push Shamia out of the friend group, and it looks as though they might have succeeded, based on the way they got their little bitty bodies crawled on up in Portia's big ass. She says she feels attacked. She says she sat up there and told them how Angela was lying about her sleeping with the man with the green beard. She said the wife even called and said that she was lying and sent text message. She had proof that she was lying, and she said all they was sitting over there talking about is you shouldn't have said nothing to her daughter. It's obvious that they're team Portia. Even K Michelle seems like she's moving and sliding over to the other side because she was team Shamia, and she hasn't completely jumped ship, but she is behind her back having these conversations, making it seem like Shamia did something to her, and I don't think she did. I personally, if I was Shamia or anybody else, I can't be bothered with K Michelle and her fragile feelings. K Michelle can't, get through a single scene without thinking that somebody got something out to get her. You know what I mean? Or her feelings hurt. She crying because anyway. So she's upset. Her and Pinky are having a conversation, and Pinky is like, what's going on? I still feel like something's up with you and Shamia. And K Michelle says Shamia sat up there in her face and said Kelly is the only person that here supporting her. And that, for her, that was like a slap in the face, as much as she been supportive of Shamia. And I'm like, seems like K Michelle is looking for a way to separate herself. She's not doing it so obviously, but she's looking for little reasons to not be, friends with Shamia. Well, she don't even have to do that. Like, she absolutely doesn't have to take a side. She can be friends with Shamia and, navigate her way through this friend group. Shamia is in need of friends. So at least that's how she's acting over here anyway. Pinky says Shamia is fighting everybody. And she said she has a cloud. She's under this dark cloud that she needs to heal from. So, maybe that's why you're feeling this type of energy from Shamia. And K Michelle says Shamia is turning into a monster. And I'm like, monster, really? They can stop that. They can stop that. Shamia's not a monster. She's not acting like a monster. And then you would act like a monster if people keep coming at you the way they are. She's not, actually. She's just crying and, acting like, she's not acting because they honestly are treating her like they don't want her to be a part of the friend group. And it's the job. Like, I got to come over here. I don't have no allies over here but Kelly. That's for damn sure. She wasn't wrong about that. I don't care what K Michelle says. She's damn sure not over here really being supportive of some Shamia. She just being careful. She don't want to just blatantly jump ship. But, from what the streets are saying, child, that she done already unfollowed each other and all of that foolishness. They were sitting in one of these rooms in this castle, and Pinky is stressed out and she's crying because, her bills need to be paid. And she just looked up, and in 24 hours, $20,000 was gone out of her account. And Angela's like, girl, I can't believe Pinky is over here crying about money. And I'm like, that's what people cry over. Money problems are very stressful. They make you sick. Money problems will. So, and Pinky got a lot going on. I think the thing with Pinky is she keeps saying she's rich, but, we all have seen the breakdown of what she got going on. And Pinky is going to lose a lot of money before she get back on her feet. She went into this situation, with a lot of debt, just like Angela. Angela has a lot of nerve. She was over there with 5 properties that she did not sell any of. And was she crying over those millions? I don't know. It might have been Charles's millions, and so he told her to let it go. Now she got a house in a ditch. We haven't heard nothing else about that house that she purchased over there in that ditch with the spiders crawling all over everything and the porch, chipped off. We haven't heard nothing about it. We don't know if she's doing any upgrades on it. We know that you're going to need, some good suspension on your car if you're going to be driving in and out of that driveway. But, what's tea, Angela? Because it seems like you're spending all your time trying to get tea on Shamia, which is stupid. It's just stupid and it's weird. There's plenty of reads that you could give Shamia just for being goofy. You don't need to go looking for her to be cheating on somebody. All this cheating and cheating, all these shows talking about cheating is old. It's tired. At least Pinky is over here with a real storyline. So Pinky was talking about the stress that, her work, life, home balance is terrible. She says she, be stressed out so bad she can't, give her man no loving. That's not good. She got, she's gone all the time, so her quality time with her children is limited. What's up, T? Did you finish watching ATL? Yeah, so I get that. And again, Pinky is giving you like her real life stuff. I'm tired. Pinky, we tired. We all is stressed out about our bills, child. We trying to get gas in the car and groceries, in the refrigerator, and we don't have 20,000 to be gone out of our account. You know what I'm saying? And still have money left over. I feel like most people is living paycheck to paycheck, and other people that do have a savings, if they got 20,000 in their account, that's it. That's their, you know what I'm saying? That is their savings. So, I hear what you're saying, Pinky, but I can't really feel sorry for you when you follow up with rich people problems. I'm glad you saw it because there's a lot to discuss over here, and we just getting to it. Um, so we off in another sprinter. They keep it moving, child. We in a sprinter, we in the house, we out in the streets. So Portia and Phaedra have events planned for the day. They got several events planned for the day. This is just day 2. They have done a lot. They went to do the Haggis's Highlands or whatever you call it. They came back. They changed clothes. They back in the sprinter. Now they're going to do whatever other activities. Right now we in the sprinter. And then Portia asked Kelly about her man. She said Shamian introduced him. They met at a Hawks game. He bought her McDowell's outfit. So Kelly is sitting up here in an outfit from McDowell's. Where they make that? She said her man bought it for a child. I don't buy me that. Like, I won't think that's cute. Does he have the same kind of bad taste Kelly got? Because I'm not wearing no McDowell's outfit. Child, please. Anyway, Kelly look a fool most of the time. What's his name? Paris. I don't think Paris would have picked that out, but Paris is not in her budget, so she got her man doing it. She also said he spent $70,000 on her teeth. I'm looking at her teeth, and I'm like, what did she get done to her teeth that costed $70,000? What happened? Did she get all new teeth? Did she get all new veneers? I don't know why he bought that tea. It was stupid. What is going on with her teeth? And then Phaedra in the confessional is like, child, if I was in debt like Kelly, I would have asked for some Colgate strips, some Crest strips on my teeth, and spend the other $69,000 on paying some of these bills, child. But Kelly over here being, what's annoying to me is when they have, start dating somebody and they got to go straight to, this Prince Charming type shit. Her bottom teeth still look crooked. Hey, Kiwan gave up on the Housewives. Are you watching or are you not just not reviewing? I know you said they had you stressed out, girl, but if you didn't watch this episode, you need to. I don't know. I think $70,000 in her mouth is stupid. It didn't cost that much for braces. And I don't believe her. I'm tired of these women coming over here with these Prince Charming, men that are just, spending, dropping thousands and thousands of dollars, here and there. And, child, he having flowers delivered to the dentist office. That's stupid. And I feel like it's also made up. So Jarvis, we don't want to know nothing about Jarvis. You only watching the clips and reviews. They had you that stressed out, Kiwan. I mean, you watch the clips on where did I look at the clips? On OMFG reality. That you pretty much get the whole show. Anyway, they started talking about falling pelvic floors, and Phaedra said you gotta have sex to put it back. Phaedra is a so-called lawyer, but she damn sure ain't no doctor. And I don't know about pelvic floors falling. I have heard of bladders falling and people having to push it back and all kinds of stuff. I'm going to just go ahead and knock on wood and be grateful that none of my inside parts are falling out of anywhere. So hopefully, I make it through my whole life without my pelvic floor falling out. And at my age, like, what if you're single? You got to go find somebody to push it back in for you. But Drew said the therapist was. You're going to your physical therapist and they're sticking their fingers in your cooch? I'm concerned. I'm concerned about what's going on over here. Y'all just be doing too much. Now they're on the sprinter having Kegel sessions with Portia. So they get a tartan education, which is plaid, and they go through the store and they pick out their plaids and they find out like what the plaids mean and what the design, what it's related to as far as where you from. Portia can't fool with Burberry and none of that no more because she need to know what her plaid is representing. Girl, stop. Um, and then they're off to dinner. I feel like the experiences were actually really cool. Aside from tossing logs, I don't feel like I would want to toss no logs. Um, you said yes, you can have it done at your PT. What? You can have what done at your PT? You can get your pelvic wall pushed back up. Child, I like I said, I hope none of my stuffs fall out. I don't want to have to deal with any of that. A menopause is enough. Let's don't have anything hitting the floor. Hit my floor. I might just have to leave it there. Child. Um. Anyway, I think your physical therapist, child, they nasty, Q1. They're just nasty. I don't really think that's something, I'm not sharing that on the sprinter. I done went to OBGYN, what do you call it? OBGYN and your primary care. And I've been checked out. Nobody was trying to finger nothing back into place. But, these ladies be over here doing things different. After they went over to the tartan place, and Portia, purchased these gifts for them, for them to take home so they can have some real, authentic plaid things. Now they're off to dinner, which is, I could have started here, to be honest. I'm just entertaining y'all with a little 1 2 1 2 about what had happened over here, but this is where it all went down at this dinner. So we find out that Drew has a new song coming out with Ray J. I feel like, Drew, all the work you did to have that #1 album, you go follow up with a single with Ray J. That'll get you on the Shade Room, but you used to being on the Shade Room. So I guess, child, I wouldn't go in no studio with Ray J because he ain't safe. It's Drew's face, child. Drew and Pinky, all of them were in pure like, Drew said Dennis was emotional about Portia moving on. Her and Dennis were talking about this tour that they're planning, and he started talking about Portia and how he feels about her. And Drew said, do you still want her? And she said Dennis said Portia don't want him. She do. I think if she can figure it out, I think Sway probably don't play. And if she's going to be in a relationship with Sway's not going to be down for that back and forth, with Dennis and all of that. Dennis probably does feel a way. She said he feels a way more so about Sway than he does about Mike. And I think it was Pinky that asked her if it's because Sway is a woman. Maybe a little bit. I think Mike, he knows that wasn't real. He knows that Mike is probably broke. And I'm not, trying to count that man's coins, but I don't think he got Portia money, the kind of money it would take to keep Portia around. But I feel like Sway does. I think Sway got money more than Mike do. I don't know if she got Dennis money, but I think, she might be giving him a run for his money. And then I feel like all men feel away when their woman chooses another woman. Because, what you going to do? Can you compete with that? I don't know. Maybe, because like I said, if Portia could figure out a way to have both, she would have both. She likes all the attention from everywhere, including Mike. He ain't necessarily got to go nowhere, but I think Sway came in and, put the hammer down, made her make some decisions that, she wouldn't have otherwise made. She went on the show and dated around and did her thing, but her and Sway seem like, I guess they're in a whole relationship. And I feel like Sway is a little bit of an opportunist, but that's just me. Portia says she's not bringing anybody around that's not good for her. She says she's not bringing anybody around Pilar that's not good for her or that's not good to her. And I'm like, anymore. You weren't having all this discernment when you were over there snatching Dennis out from under his wife's nose. Dennis is not a good guy. I mean, not Dennis. What's his name? Simon. Simon is not a good guy. Simon is out here on the internet like a little biatch, talking smack, trying to, make sure you don't get reap no benefits from what's going on over there. So, and then you started last season talking about how Pilar is so sad. She misses Papa Simon or whatever she had her child calling that man. Um, and here we are now. And then she's got Mike. Did Mike meet Pilar? Probably not, but I think nobody believes Mike is the real thing. How long has she been with Sway? Because her and Sway are walking around like a whole committed relationship. So I'm assuming that at this point, Pilar has met her. Ciao. It's unfortunate, I think, when you bring people into kids' lives and then it doesn't work out, and then now that person is gone. Hugh Simon was there, now he's gone. And then Sway is here, and I don't believe for one single second that Sway is her forever person. I think Sway is for right now, and we'll see. And I think, Portia likes the attention that she gets from it. So, is that my baby knocking on my door? So Shamia, y'all can hear him. He's so funny. Um, he has a little horsey and he doesn't ride it. He just pushes it around. So yeah, he's dragging that horse around. Anyway, Shamia says to Portia, I have a question. So she done already said that she feels like a pimple, like a teenager's pimple that's about to bust. And she got over to this dinner table and she exploded goo all over everybody. It started here. She said Dennis told Gerald that Portia isn't comfortable with Pilar coming around them. Interesting. Dennis, why is you over there being messy? Dennis is starting shit. He could have kept that between the two of them. You know what I'm saying? But no, Dennis want to go over here and, stir up some shit because he's mad at Portia for having a girlfriend. Shamia said that was hurtful. Portia said, if I'm not getting along with somebody, my daughter isn't going to their house. I think Portia is full of shit 100% of the time. However, I don't disagree with this. Like, if we're beefing and we don't need to have play dates at your house, I think boundaries need to be set at this point because we're no longer friends. Now, Dennis and Simon are friends, so it's the at the house part. But I will say, if Dennis and Simon are friends and he takes her over there or whatever, that's what daddy does on daddy's time, and you don't get to dictate that, especially if they're friends. But what it does is create relationships where these girls get bonded to each other, and somehow, Portia is the person we're talking about, but I mean, in general, somehow the mother is going to be, roped into, can I go over to, I don't know what Shamia's daughter's name. I forget what Shamia's daughter, but the girls are going to be bonded, especially if they're spending time in each other's house. It's not the same thing as social things like birthday parties or if they go skating. So maybe Simon and Dennis should plan play dates outside the house where the girls can play with each other, but it's not in a way that it's under the roof where they're like wanting to spend a night and things, because I don't want my kid over somebody's house who don't like me. You know what I'm saying? And now I don't want to be responsible for, now you want me to have to take her over there every time you can. And, I don't want her daughter over my house because I feel a way, about the mama. So it's just messy. Shamia sitting up there talking about, I just don't feel like, our relationship or whatever we had going on between us, should interfere with the relationship that the girls have. The girls are little. They don't have a relationship. So there's no point to me. This is just my opinion. There's no point to me in establishing a relationship that you're going to, it's just too messy. It's just like I said, if there's community things and there's birthday parties and things where other children are going to be there, that's one thing. But when you start spending close time, at each other's house, it just becomes too familiar. And then she's just going to want to go over there. Can I go over there? Can I go over there? And then you have to explain, nah, you can't. And I don't want nobody around my kids that don't like me. So as much as I can't stand Portia necessarily, I don't disagree with her with this one. Um, I think it definitely doesn't have anything to do with her thinking that Shamia is going to do something to harm her child or mistreat her child. I don't think anybody believes that. That's not what it's about. It's, it's social settings, like I said, are different than being in somebody's house. And based on the way things turned out over here, we won't even be at the birthday party together. Jeez, oh, Pete. Portia said, after the things that we have said to each other, the only way I would work through something like that is if it was my sister. And then Shamia says, at your house, you said we were like sisters. Shamia, that's back when y'all were friends. No, that wasn't back when they were friends. That was back over the first episode when they were at Portia's house. That means Portia was just talking out of her ass. She was determined not to have conversation about Shamia with anyone. And I think at some point they were like sisters. So, at least close friends. And, until Shamia decided she wanted to get her independency, like Letitia, what's her name? Pearson. And as soon as she wanted to speak up and be over here as a housewife, that changed everything. And then they had this flashback to Angela telling Portia that, Shamia felt like the friendship is one-sided, and it was one-sided. We all see it. Stevie Wonder could see it. It was a one-sided friendship. And Shamia was over there on her first season telling anybody that would listen how Portia didn't come to my wedding. And, she was setting it up behind the scenes, behind Portia's back, talking to people about how she felt. She was telling everybody how hurt she was except Portia. So Angela said it. That's why she running around here talking about Angela destroyed her friendship. No, she didn't. Y'all wasn't friends to start with. Yeah, I don't think y'all was really friends ever. Because there's some saltiness going back and forth on both sides. Shamia said Portia lied when she told Andy that she wanted Shamia to be a full-time housewife. She said they apparently had some conversation behind the scenes with each other where Portia told her, you're a great singer, you're an actor, you have all these things, this is my thing, I'm cool with you being a friend of, but I don't want you to be a housewife. And I think both of y'all are lying. I'm sorry, because first you said, well, first of all, when she said that to Andy, when Portia said that to Andy, Shamia sat on that couch and stayed silent. That would have been the time for you to be like, girl, you lying because da 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 da. But she waited all this time over here until she was ready to explode like a teenager's pimple. Child. Now she's bringing up a conversation when Portia said she'll yeah, I said that. She said I don't mind you being a friend, but I don't want you being a full-time housewife. This is my only thing with that. Candy recommended Shamia. So, I mean, at the time, Candy was Andy's darling. So if Candy was over there making suggestions, I feel like they would have been listening. She also said that Gerald didn't want to film, and based on the way Gerald acts, he still don't want to film. So what is it? Were you not? I mean, I believe both things. I believe Portia didn't want you over there. I believe Portia said what you said, she said. And I also believe, you were asked to be over here with Candy, but Gerald didn't want to do it. So there's a lot of things that factor into why Shamia is just now a housewife. I think this is what I don't understand is Portia not wanting her best friend, apparently, allegedly, to be a part of the show. Hey, Lotus Egyptian Flower. You said you right on time. We getting to the best part. You clicked in on the best part of the conversation, girl. So I don't understand Portia not wanting her friend to be a part of the show, because you can't tell me if I was on a show and T was also going to be on the show that would be all I needed. We would be partners in crime. And there's no reality show. I feel very confident saying no reality show could come between my relationship with T. If she is the breakout star, of course she's a breakout star because, I love her, so I understand why other people would love her. I'm fine, like in my own light, and I can break out in my own way. We would have conversations after the thing was over. I ain't like that. How we gonna play this? They came to me with this. Like, there would never be a time where these bitches on this reality show would come in between our relationship. We were talking about when they went to Dallas and they were in the pool house, and they were complaining about the house being dirty or what have you. I 100%, like I said, me and T talked about it. Once that room was clean, them heifers wouldn't have seen us no more. We have the chef over there. Like, I just don't understand the idea of your best friend being on the show. That would be a problem for you, unless you have a jealous spirit. You know what I'm saying? Because if it's your bestie, don't you want to see her child? If she's the breakout star, then I'm going too. Wherever she's going, I'm going. I don't understand, why this was a thing with Porsha. But they've been competing, I feel like, far beyond housewives. So anyway, I think like I said, I think Porsha said that. And Shamea being the lapdog, she went ahead and let it ride. And that's your fault, Shamea. You should open your mouth. Like, now you over here opening your mouth at the dinner table and everybody's aghast, clutching their pearls. But we're getting into it. Then Shamea brings up the parents, and it was really weird. Like, there was it wasn't a segue. It was a Shamea like, okay, let's get it. We in this scene. I'm ready to, pop this thing off. So she said Porsha brought the daycare situation to her platform. Why did you do that? You went on your platform and you talked about how my mother bought your mother's daycare. Now, I just heard somewhere that I did not know that something bad happened to the child over at the daycare and they shut it down. Is that what happened? I don't want to repeat things that I haven't researched. I don't know, but that's what I heard in the streets, child. Anyway, Shamea said Diane did something to her mother first, years prior. So, okay, so this happened. This thing that Diane, Porsha's mama, did to Shamea's mama happened years prior. Porsha said everybody knew about the daycare situation, and I guess to me, that wasn't even really tea. It seems like Porsha and her mother run under the same type of jealousy umbrella. I lost my business. You bought my business. You know what I'm saying? And so would I feel away? I lost it. So I'm going to feel away either way. Whoever buys it, I'm going to feel some type of way. Again, if we're friends, why am I mad that you got it? You know what I'm saying? Because, if I can't have it, then I hope, you know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. So clearly Porsha and her mama got the same kind of jealous spirit. But yeah, Porsha said everybody knew about that. And Shamea said everybody doesn't know that your mother tried to sleep with my father. And everybody, oh shit, here we go. Now, I'm going to say a few things. Miss Diane has that Jezebel spirit. We know that apple don't fall too far from the tree. So I absolutely think Miss Diane was over there trying to, be all up in Shamea's daddy face. Now, why would then Shamea's mother continue the friendship though? Because she said years prior. So were they not talking up after this, thing happened or no? Child. He tried to sleep with your daddy. What was your daddy doing? I want to hear more. We absolutely listen. Both mamas been on the show plenty. Bring these mothers over to the reunion, please. Do they not want to talk about how Shamea's mama was doing what she was doing and Porsha's mama was trying to sleep with her daddy? Because I believe it. Miss Diane be laid up there calling on the spirit of Tina. If you know, you know. And so does she ever have a man? Like she do a whole lot of nipping and tucking. Whatever Portia's doing, Miss Diane is doing it too. So I've never heard her say her mama dating somebody or anything. So we don't know what she was doing, but what Shamia says she was doing um was trying to sleep with her daddy. And then they was calling each other low down dirty snakes. And Portia said if her mother did something like that, that's on her. And then she followed up with that's not true. So both of them was saying some weird things. She said, if embarrassed, I'm not embarrassed. You ain't embarrassing me. If my mother did something like that, child, that's on her. And I'm like, you're right. You can't be held responsible if, your mother tried to sleep with her best friend's husband. But, it says a lot about her character. That's for damn sure. Portia says she heard about it. And Shameen was like, what? Yeah, Portia said she already heard about that. And she said she took it to her mother. So if she didn't hear from Shamia, where she heard it from? Who told Portia about her mother was trying to sleep with Shamia's daddy? Because Shamia seemed very surprised when Portia said she heard about it. She said she took it to her mother. Shamia said, what your mama say? She was flabbergasted. Why was she flabbergasted? She was flabbergasted because Shamia tried to sleep with her husband's brother. Or she didn't try to, she did. Portia's mama tried to sleep with Shamia's daddy, but Shamia's mama slept with her brother. Which one was the response? I tell you what, Phaedra get on my nerves, but she was so funny in the confessional. She was like, girl, somebody say my mama slept with my uncle. The response is absolutely not which one. That's what she said. She said, which one? Portia said her mama dated Shamia's uncle and Shamia's mom slept with him. So we don't know which one. But the way these ladies responded, it seems like Portia's mama and Shamia's mama was out in these streets spreading it wide and laying it low. Sometimes right up in the same family. So we have questions. My question is, first of all, like I said, she tried to sleep with your man and you stayed friends with her anyway. She sounds like her daughter talking about she better be, hope I don't try to F Charles. They got, like I said, they got the same type of spirit. One thing I will say, Portia and them anger management classes is working good because Portia then damn near threw Kelly in that pool, but she sat there. She was ready. She was unready. She said she already knew about it, and she said she knew Shamir was going to try to bring it up. So she was prepared for this conversation because ain't no way Portia kept her ass in that seat without snatching Shamir from over that table after she said, her mother tried to sleep with her daddy. But she said she already heard that. Child, I hope somebody asked these questions down to the reunion. They get down there and say, I don't want to say who said it, but child, somebody told her. That means it was true. I don't mean it was true, but we feel like it. Do y'all feel like it? Do y'all think Miss Diane was over there trying to get with Shamia's daddy? I mean, she didn't say nothing about Portia going over there and snatching Simon from that lady's, so I feel like, what I mean? She didn't say, girl, that's not right. She didn't say nothing. She was just a Simon. Portia's mama co-signs all her bullshit as long as she's reaping the benefit. So, They was doing a lot of back and forth. It was a lot of them screaming back and forth with each other. Everybody was sitting at the table like, oh my word, what the hell? Shamia got up and left. She had it. So, she snatched her things and, left. And of course, Kelly, being the good friend that she is, she followed behind her. One thing Kelly gonna do is make sure her friend is okay. She did the same thing with Britt Edie over at what's her name? Kenya's little situation. So Shamia got up and Kelly left with her. And I was like, did Shamia just quit? What the hell? Because how is she going to navigate in this group now? If it was bad before, it's really bad now. Angela was eating it up. Angela was getting on my nerves. Because I'm like, dude, Angela don't even have no real reason to have this much disdain for Shamia. Shamia is in the sprinter with Kelly. She carrying on about loyalty and how she been there. And I've been there and I know stuff and I know plenty of stuff. And if it's on now, girl, okay. I don't think it ever works out for someone who's been friends You know what I'm saying? To then start spilling stuff on Mad Day. And nobody ever likes that when you get upset or a fallout with your friend and then you want to tell all the secrets. It's never a good look on the spiller of the business. And then Portia's in the restaurant, she preaching to the congregation and they's like, Amen, sister. Like it was like, I was like, look at her. She giving a whole Hosea Williams speech. And they like, yes, say it, girl. It was very weird. K Michelle did kind of defend Shamia. Um, she said Shamia been holding it in, and so it was bound to explode. She been holding it in for a long time. She says that she thinks that Shamia is still very devastated by the loss of that friendship. I think so too, based on the way she responds to things, and even her still looking for forgiveness from Portia. And I was like, forgiveness, though. What did she do to Portia? What did Shamia do to Portia? Because I don't, what she needs to forgive her for saying that I feel like this friendship was one sided. I don't understand. Portia was the doer of the thing. But somehow Shamia thinks it's her that, needs to be forgiven. I don't know. Apparently she's past that point though. Um Cynthia irritated me. Child, Cynthia sitting up here talking about, do you think Shamia is responsible for some of the things that she's going through? And I was like, no. I'm going to say no. I think everybody came in here, Team Portia, except for K Michelle. And even K Michelle has switched up, and we don't know why. Like, K Michelle has zero reason to have issue with Shamia. If you're gonna say it's because she said that her friends don't like her, okay. I mean, then tell her don't do that. And they had a conversation, and I felt like that was squashed. Angela has went as far as hired a private investigator to find out dirt on Shamia. She's accused this lady of sleeping with football players, basketball players, and a fat man with a green beard that lives across the street from her. Every episode felt like Shamia was coming for. I mean, Angela was coming for Shamia. We don't know why. Pinky has done a good job of staying neutral. Pinky is like, I feel like speaks on what she actually sees. Cynthia, surprisingly, has jumped up in Portia's ass with the rest of them. Hey, hi, vibe. So yeah, Cynthia had me irritated because I'm like, girl, what you mean? She's responsible for the things that she's going through right now. Everybody is attacking me and it's my fault. And so, it was a pressure cooker, waiting to happen. I just don't think Shamia has the balls to stand on it. I think Shamia she's already in the Sprinter van crying, talking about, I don't understand. Like, Shamia, she would have done better. Drew coming at Shamia. I don't understand what that, back and forth was really about, because the whole of last season, Portia rang her up one side and down the other. Now we all back at the Go Naked Hair family. It's almost like Portia was like collecting her minions, giving them bust downs in order to be on her side. Shamia dropped the tea at the wrong time. She should have held that for the reunion. Or she could have gave it to us at the last reunion instead of sitting up there. You know what I'm saying? Still, she didn't do it at the last reunion because I feel like, still wanted to salvage that relationship. She was still hoping that, Portia was going to forgive her for whatever it is she did. Because I don't even know what she did that she felt like she needed to forgiveness. So, and I also think that Shamia tried to create allies when she came into the, as a full-time Peach. And she shouldn't have done that. She should have just stuck to the relationships that she already had. The relationship with Britt Eady didn't even work out. So Britt ends up over here, jobless, but, Team Portia all the same. Yeah, it feels like the door is closed. What y'all think? Is the door closed? The door is closed on Portia. Portia says she, got dead eyes, and if she don't get that spirit off of her, it's never gonna be okay. Portia's flat out doesn't want to be friends with Shamia, and I feel like it's only because Shamia came over here and managed to get a full peach, which Shamia's corny, and she wasn't gonna outshine Portia's. She's entertaining. She's somebody who's good TV. Shamia is a little bit cringy because she's corny and she does too much. So I tell you what, though, I was entertained as hell. You should have seen my mouth was like theirs when she said that her mama tried to sleep with her daddy. I was like, God dang! But I feel like I think it was T. I'm gonna go ahead and say T called it because she been saying Miss Diane was over there trying to sleep with one of her men. We didn't know it was her husband. We thought maybe it was another man. You know what I mean? Somebody that she had been dating. But I have no doubt in my mind that Miss Diane was over there being inappropriate with Shamia's daddy. What I want to know is, what was her daddy doing? We ain't gonna say she tried. When she tried to sleep, what does that look like when you try to sleep with somebody's husband? Okay, girl. Anyway, next week, what's her name? Phaedra's birthday. We knew Diane was the first hoe, but wow. right. But it feels like Diane and Shamia's mother were the same kind of frenemies as Portia and Shamia. I just can see Miss Diane, strutting around in front of, the gentleman, as if, even if it is your husband. Um, yeah, child. Next week is for Phaedra's birthday party, and if Shamia shows up, they're all partying. Sorry, my baby's crying. Shamia shows up, and the party, goes dead. So how is she gonna navigate her way through that if nobody is engaging with her? I don't like it. I don't like when it's everybody, against one person. She got Kelly, so we'll see. Now, I'm gonna say this. They put Shamia in the third chair. She should have at least been at the second chair. They put K. Michelle first, but after this thing, after she sat up there and said Portia's mama was trying to sleep with her daddy, and y'all put her down at the third chair, that don't make sense. That don't make sense. We want to have this conversation head on head. Andy, was you scared to be sitting in between the two of them? Because I don't know what K. Michelle's gonna go over there and say. Besides, they was plotting and planning. We don't even want to hear about that anymore. Now, they did say something happened in Scotland where these two nearly came to blows. So, is there more? I don't know. That wasn't coming to blows because Portia didn't even get out of her seat. She was ready for that. So, we'll be in Scotland next week, and we're going to continue this. Portia's already over it. That's how much she doesn't care. The imbalance in this friendship. Portia doesn't give a shit. She's sitting up at that table giving, like I said, her Hosea Williams speech. And Shamia is in the van crying. And you're the one that came with with the one power, one, two. So, yeah. I guess we'll see you next week, y'all. In the meantime, thank y'all for coming over here. Reality recap. Orange County is back. I'll talk about that for a second. Orange County is back. It was boring. Vicky Gunvalson is back. I don't know if y'all watch any of the other franchise on Bravo. OC was the very first one. Tamara is over here trying to woo Vicky, away from Shannon, and Emily is on that Ozempic. So this is the first season she came back. She's skinnier than she was last season. So hopefully, now she's skinny, and I think she was trying to dump Shane. It was a boring first episode, to be honest. But I'm watching, and since I'm doing the recap all together, I'll probably bring a little bit of that into it. And yeah, that's all I got for y'all tonight. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I will be back tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. for some coffee talk, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and yeah, I'll see you when I see you. Bye, y'all.